Welcome back. We continue on the Bordas and Bordas hotline, which is 412-575-2600. You can also tweet at KDPomp. Let me know what you think about that, and we'll try to read some of those as we go on. Mike on Twitter says, "Hey, Bob, what's wrong with this team? Now Vince Williams is tweeting about players being rats." You know, I saw that tweet. Maybe the locker room just cannot stand what's going on, and somebody came out and released the information. I'm not sure how that worked. But, you know, that then talks about leadership and what's missing inside that locker room and control of some of this stuff. You know, over the years, there have been a lot of this stuff, and for the most part, the coaching staff and the, quote, leadership group of that locker room has been able to kind of minimize the effect on their actual record, games, outcomes, whatever. But maybe this is getting to a point now where it's starting to become a real problem. Mike Tomlin has his press conference scheduled for Wednesday this week at noon, and we'll find out what he has to say about this. But it's never good. You know, Antonio Brown has had a lot of flare-ups recently, and they just continued. He's basically missed or walked out on the team 3 different times this year. That's a definition of a quitter. You can't do that, regardless of how talented he is. And he had a really good year. By his standards, maybe not as good as his previous. However, 15 touchdown receptions, over 100 catches, over how many yards? 1,500 yards, whatever it was. Really good numbers for Antonio Brown, and that's the dilemma they're in with him. Let's go to the lines. Mark in Bethel Park, you're first. What's up, Mark? How are you?
Good, thanks. How are you, Bob?
I'm good.
I just have a quick question or comment. Sometime after Mike Tomlin was named head coach, you know, maybe 3-4 years into his head coaching, I remember whether you or someone locally interviewed him, and he talked about that the past teams he was with played a 4-3 defense, and sometime into the future, in his head coaching future with the Steelers, he wanted to draft that way. I don't know if you recall that, and I guess my question is, whatever happened to that thought process? I guess, why was it, I guess, obviously sort of shoved aside? And I'm going to hang up.
Yeah, I mean, they draft for a 3-4. I get what you're saying, and I think he feels maybe more comfortable. But defense right now is more sub-package football than it's ever been, so you're seeing a lot of switches up. You're seeing flooding the secondary with defensive backs, linebackers. Listen, they got to come up with playmakers, period. It doesn't matter what defense you're playing. If you can't come up with people who make a difference, who take the ball away, they were one of the worst in the NFL. I think third worst in trying to create turnovers on defense. You got to have difference makers who do change field position and a complexion of a game. And this year, just not enough of that. That's one of the problems moving forward. Now, whether or not they decide to make minimal changes or bigger changes when it comes to defense specifically, because that defense, when you think about it, was handed 5 fourth-quarter leads this year. And in each of those occasions, they let it get by. Not with field goals necessarily, but with, you know, consuming long drives that resulted in touchdowns. I mean, it started right first game of the year. Turnovers were a big part of it. That defense didn't have much to say there, but they were up 21-7 late in the game, and they had the ball. And they still end up tying 21-21. In the stretch where they lost 4 out of 6, same thing. Defense had an opportunity to get off the field, win the game, and they couldn't do it. So that is a problem for sure. Let's go to Harry in Elizabeth. Hey, Harry, how are you?
Okay, how you doing?
All right, what's up? Happy New Year.
Okay, about Antonio Brown. I just think you got to get rid of him. He's a cancer in the locker room. You think Chuck Noll would put up with him?
Well, here's the thing. You got double standards when it comes to elite players because they bring so much. You can ask yourself, can you afford to lose him from a competitive standpoint? Your answer could be this. Your answer could be this. Hey, they haven't made much in the postseason with him, and they probably can make the same without him. All right, well, we'll find out. Like I'm telling you, you can't just if you decide to trade him. Number one, it costs $21 million in cap space. They're going to be penalized for. Number two, how much with all of this on the resume? He's a great player with all the distractions. Will you get in return? How do you handle that situation? I honestly believe it's got to be just straight discipline. And if I were a head coach, that's how it would be. I mean, not like what Belichick has accomplished in New England. You very seldom hear. You hear crazy stuff once in a while, but for the most part, you know, they keep things under wraps and they do their thing and they continually produce numbers. Helps to have Tom Brady. Chuck Noll had a guy on his team that shot a gun at a helicopter. Ernie Holmes. Do you remember that?
Pat Holmes.
Yeah, that's my point.
And I remember him. I remember when he first took over, when he had Roy Jefferson. He got rid of him because he.
Well, I'm just saying, you're still going to have egos. You're still going to have people run amok. You're still going to have issues. It's how you deal with them. That is the determining force. Let's go to George in Mount Lebanon. Hey, George, how are you?
I'm good. How are you, Bob?
Fine, thanks.
I called last night about Antonio Brown on the sideline, and I had suspected that he didn't have a knee problem. But in any event, would he get paid his $1 million or whatever he gets paid per game for yesterday?
I believe so, yes. Well,
Because
better.
he's in the union.
I guess. I don't know. If he's disciplined, he's disciplined. That means he doesn't play. Does he miss a paycheck? I'm not sure how that works, but I doubt it. Because then he'd probably really be up in arms because he came there with the thinking he would play. And then he got there and was told he wasn't going to play. And then he left at halftime.
Right.
Again, I would find that you can't do that. First of all, you got to be in game clothes, I think, even if you're injured. That's what I would expect. And if it doesn't happen, then you have to do something discipline-wise. And I guess the discipline in this case was Mike Tomlin told him you're not playing. However, they made it into an injury situation, which, again, has been refuted by these reports, which say was more a distraction than anything else. Thanks. Sorry about my cough. I appreciate it.
No problem.
One of those nights. Let's go out to line 1, 2, 3, 4. Dave in Westview. Hey, Dave.
Hey.
What's going on?
Happy New Year, man. You got to get rid of that little cough.
You know, it was gone. Now it's back. I don't know what I'm doing.
I know.
I have all these things that I've been taking, so I'm going to find out and get to the bottom of it this week.
Hey, let's go back a couple weeks whenever Ben had the bad ribs with the X-ray machine. It was out of date, so that came out a day or two later. Now we have this knee thing. Do they need new press secretaries in the locker room? Or, I mean, are we going to put up with this? That's another, management, cloth management, and, all these things are coming up.
Well, what I will tell you about that is it's true that Oakland has outdated machinery.
Okay.
I confirmed that with people of that staff and with Oakland. Okay, so that's true, and it's a long way to get the X-ray. But he was medically cleared to play. That's by Mike Tomlin's own admission, and he was not put back into the game, and they wasted a few possessions. So, to me, that was the bigger issue. If he was waiting to do it because he felt out it was Oakland, we don't need to play you. We're going to make sure you're okay for next week. Well, that loss ends up killing him.
Your last caller answered my question also about is find out if he got the $1 million. He probably did. I mean, it's
Yeah, I don't know, but I would guess he would.
Yeah, it's a farce. You know what I mean? We're fed up. We're Steeler fans for life, and we're going.
Well, what would you do then?
Crap.
What would you do?
I wouldn't pay him.
Might fall into a union violation. I don't know how it works. We're going to find out.
Take it to arbitration, right?
All right. Thanks, man. Appreciate the call. Let's go to Stush before we go to break. Hey, Stush and Vanessa, what's up?
Happy New Year, Bob. It's you and your family.
You too.
Selena.
Thank you.
Hey, look, evaluating the performance that these guys have failed, that locker room's a mess. It's broken. It's like if you expect another result, it's like being in a bad marriage. It doesn't get better. It gets worse. Under Tomlin, they've not been able to hold the lead. They've lost way more games. And with the Rooney's in the rule, it's almost like he's getting a free pass. They want to make an issue. It's not an issue. It's a matter of that locker room needs leadership and respect, and there is none right now. If you listen to the news, it's broken. It's clearly in need of a change, and it's probably not going to happen. But they got to shore up that defensive backfield. There is talent.
Yep.
If you listen to Al, it's bad.
Well, they still need playmakers. They got guys who have not done what they're expected to do, and it's year 2 and year 3 for a lot. Thanks, Stush. Happy New Year to you. We got to take a break. Joe and John, you're coming up next. We're live right here on the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call. It's Pittsburgh CW.